Zoax.net. Lesson 5. The Box Model. The CSS Box Model defines the layout of regions for an individual element. These regions are the margin, border, padding, and content. We can illustrate these regions like this to show the relative positions of each. Reading from the outside to the inside, we have the margin, border, padding, and content. The outermost region in yellow is the margin, and it specifies the amount of space that is put between the border and the elements around this one. The next thinner region in gray is the border, which is somewhat like the frame of a picture. It is often visible and can be styled, unlike the margin, which simply represents space. Inside the border, in the light yellow region, is the padding. Like the margin, this area is simply used to put space between the content and the border. It functions somewhat like the mat of a picture that separates a picture from its frame. Finally, the inner region is the content region in lavender. The content, as the name suggests, holds the content of the element, which could be something like an image or text. As an illustration, we will look at an example with two elements together. We will use two elements to demonstrate the box model with two different types of content and to show how margins work. If we open this document, we see a thin border box around two elements. The first element contains an image of Mary Magdalene, and the second element contains a passage from the book of Psalms. So these elements illustrate two different types of content, images and text. Around each element is a thicker black border that encapsulates a gray region that contains the content. The gray area between the content and the border is the padding, while the white region between the borders is the margin. We will go over this in more detail shortly. Returning to our document, you can see that I have put a border on the body element. The border on the body element is only 1 pixel wide, and that was the thin border that we saw around both of the elements. Notice that the body does not have a specified padding, which means that it has the default value of 0. This means that the region between the body border and the other elements is strictly due to their margins. I have styled each of the elements with a 20 pixel margin, a 3 pixel black border, and a 20 pixel padding. Additionally, I set the background color to light gray, as we saw before. The elements each have specified sizes as well for the content areas. I used float left on each of these for various reasons, but we will ignore that for now. Opening the document again, we see the two elements inside the thin border of the body element. The white region between the body border and the borders of the elements is due to the 20 pixel margin that I put on each element. Notice that this region is twice as large between the two elements because the margins are added there. Around each element, we have the 3 pixel wide borders. Inside the borders is a 20 pixel region between the border and the content. This is due to the 20 pixel padding that was specified. Notice that the padding is colored with the background color, while the margin is not. Of course, the background color also specifies the background color for the text in the element. Altogether, these four regions, the margin, the border, the padding, and the content, specify the CSS box model, and it is important to think about elements with this model in mind when creating HTML documents.